While now, and we are doing this stream on a wonderful day of Ukrainian independence. Happy birthday, Ukraine, the beacon of freedom and hope in all of the world. Now, you've just seen the intro for something that I think is extremely both close to my heart and one of the reasons why I'm happy to do what I am doing. And that is that there is a community that cares for Ukraine, and there are people that care for Ukraine, and there are more creative people than myself that are actually dedicating time, editing, putting effort, music, all of these things together to create something different and amazing. So this link was shared with me. It's a movie in couple parts. I'm not sure if it's going to be more than 3 parts. Right now, there's 3 parts on the YouTube. It is called Kyiv of Mine. Just Google in YouTube Kyiv of Mine. I will also share a link for you to the channel, and you can easily check it out there. And if you're watching this in recording, then you can obviously just follow the link in the description. It's an amazing story about how Ukraine breathes, feels, spends their days. Watch it, look at it, live it, support Ukraine. This is wonderful, and this is what I wish I would be doing, but I am not creative enough. But I do have a driver. I have a driver, a dedication, and most importantly, I have people that are actually dedicating their time and energy to support me in this journey, and that is the moderating team. I would like to ask everyone that is watching this right now, or if you're watching this in recording, then please leave a comment, but otherwise, join up. Please give a hand to the moderating team. They have been wonderful through all of these years. They have been supporting this channel, building up this community. Amazing, amazing people. Please support everyone in this time of supporting Ukraine, and we feel a little bit elevated as Ukraine defied all of expectations and is free and independent no matter what Russia is doing. So let us begin. We haven't had a stream in a while, guys. So as you know, I've changed the format of the YouTube a little bit. Now it's an everyday format. We see that it helps a little bit the channel. We definitely see some positive trends with the way the channel is going. And one of the things that still stayed a question is what to do on Sundays, because while I know that a lot of you suggested that I would take a day off, unfortunately, the new environment is a little bit more competitive, so I need to be competitive as well, and I need to do everything that I can, because people in Ukraine don't get a day off. They need to do it every day, and that's just gonna be like simple courtesy if I just put as much effort as I can to support them in everything that we can do. So let's try doing this today. It's going to be a stream. We're going to try to keep it the stream under an hour. So I'm keeping the time on the clock. And I'm going to try to answer the questions, and potentially some of these answers to the questions will come as clips or shorts on the channel. We will see how it will go. In any case, I'm here for you. I don't have any starting discussion. I will just jump in straight to the questions. We've heard a lot of news this week, so we might as well just jump in. Oh, but first I need to obviously state thank you to all of the people that are supporting this channel. Sir Shum, thank you so much for 13.99 Canadian bucks. Appreciated. Ali, chief moderator, is being a member of the channel as well, supporting for 31 months. Thanks, Sally. Without you, I don't know what I would be doing. Ukraine is brave, independent, and unbroken. So true. So true. Antonio Spios, thank you so much for 100 bucks. Appreciate it. Don't worry, I give directly to Ukraine also. Yes, thank you, Antonios. Yeah, guys, if you're here first time and you don't know, then yes, YouTube is my job, but I am not super needy in that sense. Like, I don't need too much money to live. So if you are wanting to support me, do it obviously here or buy me a coffee. I really appreciate it. It helps me. It helps my wife buying the food on the table. But primarily, if you have money to spare, you should be donating to Ukraine, not to my channel. So, but if you have extra, obviously, I will never say no. And thank you so much. Ibagam, thank you so much for being a member for 30 months. Appreciate it. Fuck Putin, fund Russia. Ukraine matters. True that. Anyway, let's get to the questions. Thank you so much for all of the supporters. Okay, so the first comment, the first questions, YouTube as always have semi-deleted. I cannot read them, but the first question that I can read is from Stephen Bendel. How much has the Flamingo been used? Are they stockpiling for large attacks, or will we see attacks soon? Well, Stephen, I don't know if I don't know, and if I would know, I'm not sure if I would tell. Remember, my OPSEC rules are I only report what is already been discussed in the Russian Telegram channels or Russian media channels and so on. So I try not to talk about a lot of things, especially because since my couple of trips to Ukraine, I had a conversation with some of the people on the ground, and I've gotten some of the knowledge that I didn't have before. Not that it's like something super secret, but it's still something that I would need to be careful of spreading. So for me now, it's doubled the case. So I don't know how many specifically there was combat uses of the Flamingo missiles. I would suggest that couple at least, usually probably until 10 that you would want to see for any kind of efficacy overview. So I think now it's being produced at a reasonable rate of 1 per day, and that is pretty good. Ben, you start when the live stream. Oh, yes, sure. Paul Deck, can we please talk about the U.S. strength has always been its friends and allies, how weak Trump is, how Trump sees the states as himself, and at all U.S. cannot save Russia? Not really, Paul. Like, to be honest, I don't find Trump a very entertaining topic. Like, Trump always kind of sucks all of the oxygen, and there's a lot of people that are talking about Trump. If I talk about Trump, I try to talk about it only in a sense that it is influencing Ukraine. And in my perspective, it's not really that much influence. Now, there is recent news that, for example, that, as I said, like Europeans have found a way to more or less work with Trump. That's why I reported on it. But for me, he is like more of a rogue element. Like, I don't see as an ally. Like it's just something that is happening, and we see that Europeans are trying to find a way how to handle it. And more specifically, Europeans are actually digging in with not with Trump, but with the lower members of his administration. So it's like they're trying to connect with the under committees under the White House. And until Trump forbids something specifically, they try to extract as much value as they can. So that's why, like, I don't really see a reason to kind of talk and discuss Trump. I think it's mostly like circle jerking, and I think there is a lot better channels with a lot better context that can talk about it. In a context of Ukraine, I don't feel that his influence is that big. Smashley, there have been any Flamingo sightings in Orklang recently? We don't know. Jensen Redler, do you think Russia will have 1.5 million casualties by year end? No. Dieter, Zell just publicly stated Ukraine does not need US permission to strike deep into Russia. Of course not, but it will hurt Taco's ego if Ukraine prepares the potential Taco sabotage like with the Kursk. Yes, so Dieter, this is exactly what I was telling you about. You know, it's like everything is like about Trump, and I feel that this is not really helpful. Ukraine is doing what Ukraine is doing. Weapons that Ukraine is receiving from US, they have some strings attached, and Ukraine is trying to follow the strings, but we also see that they are not gonna wait if they can get certain advantage, and they will break those strings and break those rules if need be. So I think I trust Ukraine more than everything, so I don't really give a shit. Robert Coleman, is the freedom of civilians caught in the occupied areas part of negotiations to end the war? It is prohibited by the Geneva Convention to exchange or any kind of bargaining about civilians. It's a weird situation where it's said that you can, for example, exchange prisoners of war, but you cannot exchange civilians. But again, there is a lot of nuance to that. Thor Veldrud, when will Ukraine receive the very needed tools against the glide bombs which have been developed together with NATO? It's both detection and to fly these terrible bombs. Knowing NATO, it's always shit. So let me tell you, for example, real talk. So I've talked with, for example, European European Development Agency and grants. So it's like a body of the European Union that is handing out defense grants. And that agency asked, well, how do you support new kind of developments? And they state, we are supporting developments of different technologies, different vehicles, different like things, and we support them from essentially like TRL like 3 to up to TRL 8. To put it like, probably not all people know what it means, but technology readiness levels. There we go. Let me show you. Yes, so let's move to this one just so you can see what I mean. So there is like a thing that is called technological readiness level. So the first one is like basic idea, then there is the concept, then there is 3 experimental proof of concept. It's like when essentially in laboratory you test something. That's about like when these defense funds are interested in investing in these technologies. Then technology is validated in lab, technology validated in relevant environment, technology plot demonstrated in relevant environment, TRL7 system prototype, the demonstrated operational environment, TRL8 system complete and qualified. And then system TRL9 actual system proven in operational environment. So, and a lot of these grants, they're granting up to TRL8. And basically in that conversation, I asked, wait, so you're supporting people like developing technologies up to the actual live testing and not even production scaling? And they say yes. And that, what that means for me is that there is like a whole cluster of defense focused companies that only job is to milk money from these defense funds. So they create bullshit companies with bullshit technologies that could never be production viable or market viable, but it sounds amazing. So they apply for all of these grants, get a lot of money, develop a lot of these technologies. When the grants run off, they actually kind of, when it gets to actually producing and market supplying it, well, it's like it's actually not viable. But it doesn't matter because they already got the money. So that's why when you're stating about when does like something that has been developed by NATO is going to get developed to the front line, my always like something at the back of my mind is, was that technology that we heard about, was that actually market viable technology, or it was one of those bullshit things that we developed in our systems? Because we have like hundreds. Like if you ever been to any conference, this is true for a lot of other parts of our market. But if you ever had a conference like defense or near defense or whatever, you would know that there is like about 95% of everything on those conferences is an absolute dog shit. It's like non-viable things. It's just people living in their fantasy land. But they're getting money because, for example, it looks cool. Or they have really nice 3D graphic artists. So these 3D graphic artists, they make nice 3D graphic videos that like missiles fly. There's like trucks that drive, and then trucks open, and then drones fly in the air, and then they get millions of views on YouTube, and everyone's like, whoa, technology of the future, without ever thinking if this is production viable. And Newman, thank you so much. Happy Independence Day to Ukraine supporters. True, true, true. Yes. Jansen Redler, is there any more information out there on supposed surrounding of 24,000 Russian troops near Pokrovsk? I don't know where you took that information of 24,000 Russian troops surrounded near Pokrovsk, but it's bullshit. Like, I don't know where you found that information. It's a lie. Like, there is no 24,000 surrounded Russians near Pokrovsk. It would be the biggest news on the planet. In this war, there has not been a single like large-scale surrounding. There was like some like surroundings locally, maybe like 100 people, maybe 200 people. Those types of surroundings were there, but like 24,000, please. Papa Kale, how many soldiers does Ukraine have in the Transnistria borders? How much of a threat of it being a new front is there? Not much. Not much of a threat. There are sufficient number of Ukrainian soldiers in the area. Arturas Luxus, is the partisan movement in the occupied territory strong? There isn't much info about the media about them. Could you educate us on that part? Yes, it is strong. They mostly provide information and they act as a supporting agents to the Ukrainian intelligence. So oftentimes when you see strikes on certain targets in Crimea, most likely that intelligence was acquired through the intelligence network. They are not exposing themselves openly that much. I mean, that's why they're the underground. Lunar Blood City, is Russia really running out of tanks? It looks like their usage have collapsed. Yes, because they've changed the tactics. They're now moving in different ways. It's a lot more costly, but that's what it is. They are now having enough tanks to as support vehicles and situational. They are not using tanks anymore as their primary tactic. Kellis, what is the typical Ukrainian way of celebrating Independence Day? I don't know. You should ask a Ukrainian. Edgar C, do you feel making a video a day? I love it, but don't want you to overwork. We'll see, Edgar. It's an experiment for me as well. Just how much can I go for it? Like, my biggest challenge was not actually making a video every day. That one I can. That is not that big of an issue. Biggest challenge is whenever I'm traveling, because besides the YouTube, I'm doing a lot of other things, and sometimes it's really problematic. You've seen a video last week where I filmed it in a car, and it was like the whole way that we were able to do it with just one video because it was like a 3-day trip was actually pretty impressive that I was able to just make one video on the trip. But I will have more difficult situation when I'm going to be having longer trips. So that has been the biggest challenge. Making a video every day is tough. It is exhausting. I am feeling the pressure, but I am trying to do my best. Isbliss, sorry if I missed it, but did you cover the Iran missile purchase supposedly to start delivery in 6 weeks and its role in the multifaceted ever-evolving in battlefield? I will cover it tomorrow in the news video. But also, it's not, it's also, we don't know what kind of strings are attached to specifically these missiles. So the missiles are nice, they're pretty good, they could be very useful, but the question is, what strings are attached to them? Characters is asking, Japanese Characters is asking, how fun was it to watch every leader in EU laugh at the Hungary and Slovakia's demands for EU protection of Druzhba pipeline? To be honest, I was very saddened by it. I was saddened that it needs to be Ukraine that comes and solves our fucking issues in Europe, where we cannot handle a couple of rogue states in our own midst. I think this is pitiful. The Swamp, any further information about the encirclement of Russian troops near Pokrovsk? Where you guys get that information? Like, okay, let me Google. Encirclement of Russians, Pokrovsk. Where you get that information? Who told you that? 4 hours ago. Daily Express. Russia army disaster as 1,000 troops face encirclement and elite command center wiped out. So now it's apparently not 24,000, it's just 1,000, at least from the links that I found. Okay, I'm gonna switch the view because you're tearing me apart, Lisa, here. So apparently it's just 1,000. City logistics hubs provided. Okay, where the source? Ukraine's military command responded by rushing reserve troops to the area. Yeah, this is the Pokrovsk situation. Return of the area. Meanwhile, unsuccessful. Okay, okay, but where is the Sirsky confirmed the capturing. Counterattack. Yes, the counterattack that recently happened. Yes, but where is the encirclement? Encircle. One wrote, If the offensive develops successfully, a large Russian force, reportedly more than 1,000 soldiers, could face the threat of encirclement about 130 kilometers theory. Okay, so while it's just written as like maybe sometime, potentially, and so on, this is all like future projections. This is not reality, so there is no encirclement. I was right. No one else was. Unless there was something else. Unless there was something else in the news, but this was like from 4 hours ago. Ukrinform is stating 11 hours ago. Let's look at this one. This one 11 hours ago. The Pokrovsk, Novopavlivka, and Liman sectors remain the hottest spot. Let's see. Encirclements. Circle. Near Dobropilya, he said the enemy is encircled and being eliminated. Okay, but that is just a claim, and I already took it in yesterday's video and explained that this is not really encirclement, that this is how do you say, this is copium statement. It has nothing to do with reality. Okay, so whoever said you 24,000 encircled or 1,000 encircled or whatever was lying to you. It's bullshit. It's important to keep in touch with reality. Ukrainians are doing great on the front line. Like whoever says that Russia is doing well doesn't understand what they're talking about. Russia in the last 1,000 days captured less than 1% of the territory of Ukraine, which is insane. Like over a million people for capturing less than 1% of the territory of the state. That is a disaster. It is a complete catastrophe. You cannot do that. You cannot be an aggressive force and just do this. But that is big picture. Like small picture, when these things happens, like it needs to be, like you need to be in touch with reality. I'm sorry. So sorry if I broke your bubble. Like, but we're trying to kind of see the good things that Ukraine is doing as reality and not like, whoa, Ukrainians encircling 24,000 troops. All right. Where did we stop? That's the Iran question. The swamp. Any further information? Okay, yeah, that's this question. Cornelis Zandberger, a great channel. I often base my articles on your insights together with other good people like Bro. But you're a great inspiration. Number one, best balance between content, substance, and presentation. Hey, thanks, Cornelis. I really appreciate it. Yeah, though I don't really think so. Like our channel is really struggling. Scott Hillerman, are the gasoline shortages in Russia indicative of a serious economic collapse in Russia finally coming, or just another hopeful nothing burger? Yes and no. It is indicative of the fact that Ukrainian campaign on striking the Russian oil refineries is working. The problem is that it's kind of overlapped with the fact that it is summer, and in summer Russia does have higher consumption of oil. So you should look at it as this is an indicator that Russia is not doing well, but I think that the supply chains will adapt and Russians will adapt their operations over time as well, and we will not see any more the lines at the Russian gas stations. But it's an indicative that Russia is having huge issues with their economy. Team Moments. RF lacking refined oil, buying it from Belarus. Rumors even asked Orban, should Ukraine not hit it the RF territory, those provision lines? Yes, they should and they could. Stephen Bennell, can you say something about the air defense situation for Russia? Can they protect the oil refineries and the front line at the same time? No. Lars J.S., what is public about the future of Sapsan ballistic missile program after the setback just before the Alaska meeting? I mean, I'm not sure Sapsan is that well developed, but what are the public about the, like, I'm trying to understand what is the relationship between the Ukrainian Sapsan program, or Sapsan is the same as Krim 2. Like if you heard Krim 2, it's a Ukrainian ballistic missile. Now, if you don't know what ballistic missile is, so Ukrainians have developed this Flamingo missile. So this is ground. This is Flamingo missile. It launches into the air and then it flies along the air and then it strikes target. And it flies about 900 kilometers per hour. And then there is Krim 2, which is a ballistic missile. Ballistic missile goes up, 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 and then it kind of goes all the way down with big speed. There we go. So Sapsan or Krim 2 is a ballistic missile of Ukraine, and it has been developed and it had a lot of problems and setbacks. it is still being produced with huge setbacks, and it has a lot of issues, and it's unclear whether it's going to be developed or not fully. And as for setback just before the Alaska meeting, I'm not sure, but like there has been a lot of setbacks with Subsun before Alaska or whatever. Like I'm very skeptical about the program just by knowing who is developing it. Cornelis Armer, how good is the resistance in the occupied territories? Can they assist in a serious Ukrainian offensive? Can Ukraine... Okay, stop with the Ukrainian offensive. There is no Ukrainian offensive. There is no coming Ukrainian offensive. Guys, importantly, there is no Ukrainian offensive. Do not expect that Ukrainians will go on offensive. Drones are a major defensive power. If Ukrainians will go on offensive, it would cost insane amount of lives. Ukrainians are not Russians. They cannot fight like Russians. That's why they not trying to fight Russians. What Syrskyi is doing when he's talking about offensive, he's talking about limited offensive operations, exploiting Russian weaknesses, finding where they're weak, finding where they cannot respond, and exploiting those efforts, specifically after Russians have been exhausted severely, which they have been ongoing right now in the current campaign of there. But expecting that there's going to be some kind of serious Ukrainian offensive, hold your fucking... don't push the horses. Sloth Gamer, since Donald Trump health is worsening, how long you think the old man... I don't give a shit. Cecile P, since Trump is setting restrictions on US-made weapons, is it wise to buy so many from there? I know they have the bulk, but diversity could be safer in this case. Cecile, the problem is there is alternatives. So what you need to understand is everything is, what is it called? The opportunity costs. I think that's the term that I was looking for. So if you have 10 missiles all from Europe, then you can use them 5 on your territory and 5 on the enemy territory. But if you buy 10 missiles from United States together with your 10 European missiles, you're able to use 10 European missiles on the Russian territory, while there is, for example, restrictions on US that you can use them only on your territory. But you still gained the advanced option by using European missiles. So you get more even from getting something with restrictions. So more is always better. AH, how is the ballistic missile program growing? Not necessarily the A. Okay. Thomas Marcus, Georgie, how much longer will Europe buy gas and oil from a terrorist state? Another 1.5 years, maybe before 2027. Amount of Russian energy purchased by Europe is greater than amount of support for Ukraine. So it's important to understand, firstly, where we are coming from. And secondly, it's important to understand where are we going and who are the biggest purchasers of Russian gas and oil. The biggest purchasers of Russian gas and oil, one of the biggest ones, are Slovakia and Hungary. Those two countries will buy Russian gas and oil no matter what. Then there are like Belgium, France, Spain, and other ones. And with those, they have accepted the 18th sanctions package that does state that they need to get off the Russian oil dig. I believe, was it by 2029? Correct me in chat, please, guys. Who remember about the 18th sanctions package? Was it by 2029? If it's by 2029, then it is by 2029. But people will correct me in a chat. But most importantly, what we must not forget is where we started and where are we going. Because Europe has made unprecedented commitment to decouple from Russian gas and oil. Over the last 3 years, end of 2027, thank you. Over the last 3 years, Europeans shifted, and some economists were estimated that Europeans, by shifting from the Russian production of oils and gas to the other resources, it costs the shifting of that. Total cost is about €1 trillion. So Europe, that is something that is not counted in aid to Ukraine, but Europe did a commitment and already executed a shift of €1 trillion from Russia to other sources. So while I understand the frustration of Europeans that are still buying, and that is true, and I wish they would do it sooner than the end of 2027. But if there is already a date established and they are already shifting away, and like when the shift is completed, they're not shifting back because that's not how Europe operates. Europe is like a big ship. Like if it's just, it takes a while for it to get turned to different direction. But when it's turned, it's very hard to turn back. And right now, this is the thing that is happening. Europeans are shifting away. So I wish we would be in an ideal world where Europeans would go away before 2027. But this is where we are now. And still, like, I at least would consider that, yes, taking €1 trillion loss is definitely a massive hit for a lot of the European economies. Cecile P. Cecile, sorry for butchering your name. Do the Flamingo use the US satellite info? It would be great if nobody could pressure Ukraine on any level. It is unclear. It has not been specified, so I cannot talk about it. Nigel Goodinson, do you have any idea of the number of Ukrainian troops still being held by the Russians? Yeah, tens of thousands. Beng Akhtartag, do you think Gripen will fly in Ukraine anytime soon? Anytime soon, probably not. All right. Canada, thank you so much for supporting the channel for 24 months. Appreciate it. Hello, love to all supporters, mods, and G. Take care of yourselves. I'm very happy about the children that were returned to Ukraine. I hope they were the start to heal the traumas until Victory Day, friends. Absolutely agree with you. All right, I don't see any more questions, so we are live already for 40 minutes. So I will, I guess, stop the questionary because we're out with this, and I will just read what you guys write in chat, and then we'll close up today's short stream where I can answer all your questions. And then if you'll have more questions, then come over the next weekend, and I will answer some more. Oh, another question appeared. Explorer 4464. Just to clarify, the fake news about encircling 24,000 troops, it's from the Enforcer YouTube channel, which is pro-Ukraine, but they hype the news and exaggerate. I mean, there's a lot of things with the Enforcer. I'm not sure if calling them pro-Ukraine is the right way to go, but they do whatever they do and so on. But 24,000 troops is not an exaggeration, it's just a lie. There is no encircled 24,000 troops. Sure. Questions. I forgot how to turn off questions. Well, it is what it is. I guess the questions then stay until the end. Ah, okay, it's just bug. Okay, so my question's bugged. Yeah. Yes. All right. Yeah, last 10 minutes we're just gonna chat, guys. Nice shirt. Thanks, Travis. Yeah, it's from the Cardinal Birds. They're amazing guys. Federico Zannolin, is it true that Ukraine is still maintaining its army while Russia is losing manpower war? It's a very, very loaded question that I don't feel that there is like a right way to answer it. Both armies sustain attrition. Russian army sustains more attrition than Ukrainian army, but also Russian army is able to attract a lot more people to their army. So there is difficulty in estimating which army in general sustains more attrition. Ukrainians have been also having issues with their what's called people going AWOL, so that's also attrition. So it's not as easy answer of the question who specifically is. How is the situation around Liman? Pretty difficult. The situation around Liman is that the architecture of defense in that area. I talked about this in my I talked about this my map update, but this is what is the situation around Liman. So for a while now, Liman is a pretty nice logistics hubs in the area. It's located right over here. So the Ukrainians had a very nice defense here. There's the Seversk, which is a great stronghold in the area. There was Bilohorivka that was also helping Ukrainians to hold the area, but Russians were able to bypass Bilohorivka. And then Ukrainians kind of held all of this area right over here, sort of approximately. Don't bug me where specifically it was. And the best part was that Ukrainians held the area right over here. But Russians were able to move from north, and then they were able to cross the river and then attack kind of from both sides, and that allowed them to push south. Collapsing this part allowed to collapse this part, and then now they're able to push Ukrainians completely from the forest area around this one, and then the control of this forest area actually allows Russians to pressure Yampil, who is a gateway to Liman, but also Yampil is a big supporting hold to support this pocket of Siversk. So if Russians are able to move to Yampil, capture Yampil, then Siversk will have really, really bad time, and Liman should be also preparing for the attacks. Liman is important because it's a gateway to Sloviansk, Kramatorsk. These are like the two. This is like the main fortress of Ukraine in Donbass. So Liman is a gateway to the north for the main fortress of Donbass. Obviously, capturing and getting just to the north part is not going to threaten this situation at all, but Russians will be already at the gate of the fortress. But it is extremely heavily fortified, so even if they reach it, that doesn't mean that there is going to be anything to panic about just yet. When did you become involved? Involved with what? With YouTube? About 3 years ago. What countries really will send troops to Ukraine after the war? There was they didn't make a full list, but it's 10 countries, and most of them will be advisors that will be supporting Ukrainian military and helping them transition and unify with NATO. George O'Neill, fake news and propaganda flood the news. I always check things over and over until I get to the truth. Go Ukraine, God is on your side. Yeah, absolutely. But don't overdo it. Sometimes, you can just say it is unclear whether this is true or not, but you don't need to dig in until depth, because if you start digging for truth, I have seen a lot of people that were intense truth diggers, then they start questioning the nature of reality, and then they're fucked. How many flamingos are needed to start a swan lake on Russian territory? I would say about 10,000. Cornelis Zandbergen, do you think China and Xi will step up aid to Russia when Russia loses? It seems a slow increase, testing the waters. The West doesn't seem to do much, or am I wrong? Can China afford Russia to lose? China doesn't want Russia to lose, but China doesn't want Russia to win as well. It is they are kind of cheering a little bit for Russia, but it is all, it's when you start reading about the relationships that China is having with Russia, specifically in economic sense, then you're like, no, these guys are not friends. China is clearly exploiting Russia for their own benefits, and they're very happy with the situation where Russia is in this limbo state where it's neither lost, neither won. Do crabs have eyebrows? I don't know, maybe. Good question, though. All right, seems that this is the end of this very short live stream. Oh, wait, no, more questions. Every time I want to finish, you guys write more questions. Thank you. Does Russia have poor intelligence compared to Ukraine? Would Ukraine suffer without US intelligence gathering? Does Russia have poor intelligence compared to Ukraine? I would say yes. I think intelligence apparatus in Russia is weaker than the one in Ukraine. That said, they still are able to perform a lot of activities, especially in online information space. Their propaganda and information work is pretty incredible. Would Ukraine suffer without US intelligence gathering? Yes, but it would not be critical. Ukrainians did a lot to substitute that. Like, people telling you that it would be a catastrophe don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Jason Meza, will Trump allow Ukraine to fire American missiles into Russia again? I don't think so. Federico Zanolin, I recently watched a video by Paul Warburg. By the way, great videos. Why Russia manpower situation is far worse than Ukraine seems legit and does not look good for Russia. Oh, no. Russian manpower is truly awful. It's just, as I said, I'm careful about getting an overhyped representation of anything. I haven't watched the video, so I don't know specifically what arguments he made in there. You're welcome to write me those arguments, and then I can talk substantially about the arguments. Russia is definitely having huge issues with the manpower. And the main issue with their manpower is that it is all monetary based. It's all based on money, and Russia is really looking down the abyss of the money pit. Dominus ZG, hi Georgie, do you think there is a chance once 2026 hits or a bit later the Russian economy won't be able to sustain their war budget and we get the widespread unrest that forces them to stop? Firstly, do not expect anything from Russians. Do not expect anything to come from Russians. That is rule number one. If only one thing that Russians have proven over the time of this war is they're completely unreliable and useless. So do not put your trust into Russians whatsoever. Will their economy suffer? Yes. But what I want to underscore, and something that I was always underscoring, is that economies are a lot more resilient, and Russian economy still has plenty of meat to cut. It's not going to be nice. It's going to hurt. A lot of people going to get hurt. But they still have some leeway and some fat and meat to cut off. Yeah, nice nickname, by the way. Russia is currently producing more tanks than it consumes in Ukraine. Do you think a major tank attack through example Belarus is possible, or the days of tank attacks are over? Firstly, the days of tanks attacks are not over. Tanks will have their place in the battlefield, but it needs to be specifically set up for it. They cannot just roll. Tanks are not gods anymore. Like, the time of tanks being like gods of the battlefield that they can just roll over, there was nothing that anyone can do. These days are gone. Tanks are not gods, they're tools. And as any tool, they have place on the battlefield. And they can be used in tank attacks. But it's not going to be hundreds of tanks rolling through the battlefield. That thing is not working. Like, we've seen Russia do it time and time again, and time again, they get destroyed. So that's not going to be the way that it will go. Not the modern warfare. The fact that they're producing more than consuming only means that they are just supplementing them. It is also, to be honest, like, questionable if how do I put it? Because as soon as Russia tries using tanks, they get destroyed. So the fact that they're producing more than consuming means that they're just not using them. You get me? So like if you have 100 tanks in storage and you produce 100 tanks, now you have 200 tanks, but you haven't used shit. Well, then you just have 200 tanks. It's about the efficiency and what they can do with them. Mr. X, do you believe Trump is still a Russian KGB action? I don't give a shit. Seriously, don't care. Lead foot, I heard about the propaganda flyer about the Russian positions. What about sending flyers deep into Russia for the general population to see? Listen, okay, like, I don't want to call out you for your naivete. Like, we all have different perspectives. But do you, like, how do I put it without insulting my audience? So Russians know what is happening. They're not fucking stupid. They know what is happening. They don't just give a shit. So when you are sending in leaflets standing, please stop, it looks about the same way as Trump writing on Twitter, Vladimir, stop. That's about the efficacy with sending flyers to the general Russian population is. It's I don't want to say it's like naive or something, because it's an idea that you have in your mind, and I respect that, like, because the intention was good, but like they're far beyond that. Like we're way beyond that. Way beyond that. Is Sinkivka in the northeast still a stronghold? Is its importance downgraded? It is still. It is still. So Sinkivka is an incredible stronghold. It has done so much work for Ukrainians. Oh my God! Stop, Vladimir! Stop! Jesus Christ! Yes. So let me switch. So Kupiansk direction. Kupiansk is the main center hub. Sinkivka is this area, and for a while Sinkivka has been a stronghold, and basically Russians cannot advance anywhere here until they take Sinkivka, and Sinkivka has been unbreakable position for Russia. The only way that they were able to advance towards Kupiansk is they were able to cross the river and then move north, so kind of far away from Sinkivka. That's the only way they were able to advance. They're still, even to this day, cannot get past Sinkivka, and until they can get past Sinkivka right over here, this part stays. So that's why Sinkivka is super important. It's an amazing stronghold. How much work it did, it's insane. Has Russian summer offensive failed? If so, what can we expect next? Okay, so it's important to clarify, what do you think was the objective of the summer offensive? Because very often we will hear from the Russian shills or the Russian propagandists or whatever, what they would say is, they would say, well, the summer ended, we advanced further, therefore whatever we captured is exactly what we were expecting to capture, therefore we fully 100% succeeded. So, how you can argue against that? You can't. That's just moving the goalpost. And if you're stating, well, what was the purpose of the Russian summer offensive then? Well, there was some talks about the capturing of Pokrovsk, and even before that, there were talks that they will capture all of Donbass. If you remember, there was discussion that Russia will capture all of Donbass by October. If you don't remember, I don't blame you, because no one actually pays that much attention. It's only me reading and everything that Russians are saying and actually analyzing it. But yeah, exactly. GSP also really reminds very good, because Putin stated that he is looking to capture Sumy as well. And Sumy, if you remember, that was this offensive in summer, right? That was like when it's like, okay, we captured Russian, we cut out Ukrainian Kursk offensive. Now we're going down into Sumy, and soon we're gonna encircle Sumy, and we're gonna capture the city of Sumy, which is right next to the Russian border, which is located right over here. That's the Russian border, literally the border town. And then they advance about 7 kilometers, or sorry, I don't want to say wrong things. So 14,33 kilometers Russia advance, and then they get bogged down, and now Ukrainians are kicking the shit out of them. So is that failing offensive? I don't know. So that's why it's all in the eye of the beholder, because situation around Pokrovsk worsened, that's true, but Russians are nowhere near yet to capturing Pokrovsk. There are certain breakthroughs that Russians have done, but Ukrainians have conducted counterattacks and were able to subject Russians to an intense pain and slow them down. That worked. So if you talk about what Russia claimed, then this is a complete failure. But then again, it was failure for 3 years. Yet we still see Russian shills claiming that Ukraine is about to collapse and they're capturing everything, despite the fact that in the last 1,000 days they captured less than 1% of Ukraine, with over 1 million casualties. That is insane. So, did it fail? Yes. But did they also achieve something? Technically, yes. Uh, IR war. Why did Ukraine wait to destroy the pipeline, pump station, and compressor plant to stop the oil and gas movement? Because of the European Union not really moving towards getting off of the Russian dick. They finally did it. Hungary and Slovakia didn't want to do it, and that essentially the ultimatum for them was over. Blaze Gamer, any news on the lack of fuel around Russia? Well, they still have the lack of fuel. Not much else. Like, it's just for I perceive this as a temporary situation. Thomas Marcus, what strategic opportunities can Ukraine seize during and after the war to strengthen its economy, governance, and international alliances? That's a very good question. So first and foremost, Ukraine is a front runner. Ukraine is a country that is inherent to security of Europe, because people get really laughed. Like there was like some British guy that got really touchy when I discussed something about his country, and he gets really pissed, because reasons. Probably some person that just very sensitive whenever someone points out about the hypocrisy in their own statements. And one of the things that I talk about the European states is that there is not a single country in EU that can match not even Russian military, but the Ukrainian military. Our armies, like, let's put it this way. Like, I will kind of put it in just a couple of words, and this is not my words, this is just something that I heard. So it's like European armies will win Russia any day of the week, given that there is no war on the second week. So you get me. So our armies are not sufficient for this long, grueling conflicts. We are not there. If Russia pulls us into a long, bloody war, we will get ultra fucked. Get me? So that's why, like, Ukrainian army is the only army on this continent currently that is able to conduct this long form warfare. Poland, not even Poland, not even fucking Poland. Bitch, tell me how many brigades Poland have. How many brigades Polish army? Fucking Poland, lol, laughing mark. No, motherfucker. No, they do not have. Not Poland, not Baltics, not Finland. Okay, maybe for their size. Okay, I guess Finland. I would give Finland and Sweden a bit of a pass, because they kind of like did a little bit more on their own, and maybe more pass to Finland than to Sweden. Ukraine is mobilized. Yes, but our countries are not ready to get mobilized. We don't have weapons. We don't have stockpiles of shit. So the point is that our countries are not ready for war. Period. We just are not ready for war. We don't have plan. We don't have long-term conflict. Finland probably is the only country that could be ready, and they have a plan, and they have a proper setup on how to get mobilized. Poland, if you remember, like, Poland, can you please remind me, what are the latest statements that Poland is saying about this war? Are they like attack dog that everyone is memeing about to jump on Russia and just, bite off their dicks? Shit, no. Poland is saying, we're not going to send troops to Ukraine. Fuck that. Poland is saying, we might have like another like Orban coming here, so we don't know about political environments. Poland, half of the Polish population says Ukrainians should just give up land to Russia. So what the fuck are you talking about? We are needing Ukraine as much as Ukraine needs us. Ukrainians are doing an incredible job. They're doing what the only military that can stand up to Russia right now on the continent can. John 3:16 O'Brien, no you. And we need to make sure that when Ukraine ends this war, that they are part of our architecture for security. Because if we just kind of just like, we should be just neutral, Ukraine, whatever, we should not put any kind of strategic discussions with Ukraine, there would be a huge mistake. Huge mistake. Because Ukrainians right now are mobilized. They have the drive. Their country has the drive. They're very, very tired, for sure. But they have the drive to defend themselves and fight against Russia. So having them as a strategic anchor point, and them being a strategic anchor point for weapons development, training, like, this is something I'll share with you. Fuck it. Like, I'm going to tell things that I shouldn't be telling, but I will tell you because I want to. So it's like, did you know that you cannot test electronic warfare anywhere in Europe? Like, Russia is electronic warfare head state. We in Europe have drone manufacturers. And you know what's the problem with a lot of these drone manufacturers? They have nowhere fucking to test. Because Europeans, any country in Europe, Finland included, they don't have spaces for testing electronic warfare. So all of these drone producers that don't have access, for example, to Ukraine, to test in Ukraine, they cannot test against electronic warfare. So they come up with solution to fight electronic warfare without testing against electronic warfare. Like, how insane is that? How insane is that? They're just building weapons and solutions to fight Russia without testing these solutions. Why? Because bureaucracy. Because it's too dangerous. Because reasons. That is how fucked we are. Just like, oh, Russia is an electronic warfare powerhouse, and electronic warfare is defining the whole warfare right now in eastern Ukraine. Well, we should come up with solutions. Should we have a dedicated testing grounds in our territories? That would be too dangerous. Half of the countries in Europe don't allow drones to fly. Like, in some of the countries, people wanted to make drones, their companies. People reached out to me on my email, says like, we wanted to make drone companies, but we can't because we're not allowed to fly drones. How are you making something? How are you making modern weapons then? We're way behind. Way behind on a lot of the modern things. And you say it's like, oh, when is the Russian interceptors they're coming from NATO? Where are they going to be tested? Like, where are they going to develop? Where are they going to test it? Where are we going to have some planes drop the fucking bombs so they can test their interceptors? Not, I don't know. It's so silly. It's so insanely silly. It's really like every time you talk with a lot of these people, you feel that a lot of them are like living in some kind of a fantasy land past, especially like the generals. Like, generals are like big kids that like fucking shiny toys. For example, like, you see like you look at it as like, oh my god, we're buying like another missile launcher system. Like, that system can be taken out by the drone technology. Why are not we investing in drone technology? What is the anti-drone technology? Like, your system is going to be taken out by like a $1,000 drone. What are you doing? Like, we don't perceive it as a current problem. What amazing answer. You talk to a general, he looks you in the eye and says, we don't perceive this as a current problem. Yeah, so it's really bad. That's why I'm like, I really wish that we can support Ukraine as much as we can. All right. No more questions. I will finish answering what is over here, and then we're gonna move on because I'm getting already hot-headed once again. Will Ukraine, European partners, and America declare a no-fly zone of Ukraine? Of course not, because no one has the balls. How stable are Russian satellite states with Russia Defense Pact? For now, stable, because essentially they're right now in fear of what is happening to Ukraine to happen in them. Does it make sense? But we already see some of their drifting away, like Azerbaijan, completely drifted away. Armenia as well. Did you know, by the way, you know that solution that Trump signed with Armenia, Azerbaijan? No one kind of mentions that it was negotiated by Biden. Like, no one mentions that the whole deal was negotiated and started by Biden, and Trump just happened to kind of like appear there, and then he's like, "Yeah, I did it. It's like, okay, sure. It's not like to Trump. I'm just saying that there is more things that is happening, and that there is a lot more countries that are drifting away from Russia. Russia is losing their influence insanely. Jason Meza, will Ukraine's European partners, that's the no-fly zones. Federico Zanolin, a point he raises is that Ukraine has not yet conscripted 18-year-olds old that gave it once of lever to massively boost manpower. Then it's okay. So 18-year-old conscription is a massive red herring. Like, let's look at this. Ukraine population pyramid. Okay. There we go. So this is Ukraine's population pyramid. If you've never Googled this, and that's why it's a massive red herring. I'll have to move. Wait. No. Damn it. All right. As you can see there, over here specifically, you might notice like a big dip around from 15 to 20, right? This was 2023, so that was like what? Like 18, 20-year-old. So you see that around this time, there was a huge dip. There is barely any people there. That's a big dip. So Ukraine actually has huge lack of that population. Now we see that the 10-year-olds that was there. So if the war continues for 6 more years, then maybe the 10 and 14 years olds will get to the 18-year-old level, and then they will kind of come and supplement because there is a lot more of them. But you can see that that's not where the main part of the population is. So when people say is like, if Ukraine would just conscript 18-year-olds, that would solve everything. No, that's a big red herring. Ukrainian biggest problem is not the fact that they cannot mobilize the 18 to 23-year-olds. Their problem is that they're having troubles keeping the people that they have mobilized and getting people motivated to stay in the military. That is their actual problem. What happened to the Chechen TikTok battalion? How do they hear from there anymore? Because they don't really fight anymore. They pulled out. Like if before they at least needed to be somewhere, now they are very, very far at the back line. They are mostly terrorizing and squeezing dry the Ukrainian occupied towns. Mr. X, Russians didn't send any Shaheds, waves or missiles today, and it's the independence that kind of strange. The night is just started, so I wouldn't jinx it. Thomas Marcus, what lessons can NATO and other allies learn from the Ukrainian armed forces' success in the modern warfare? Adapt or get fucked. Dieter, would you agree that peace talks help to define security guarantees, even though the actual peace ceasefire is still far away? I don't think it's the peace talks. I think it's the fact that that Trump was this rogue element, and in face of that rogue element, Ukrainians were able to anchor and unify European states. So I think that that's more of the driver. Paul Jude Debris, have Russia taken Chasiv Yar now? They have been trying for 2 years. I mean, de facto, yes. Like, I know that technically there is still parts that Ukrainians are controlling, but the main parts that needed to be defended of Chasiv Yar, they have been taken. It is still not like safe zone for Russia, so Ukrainians are still able to contest a lot of that, but in fact, like, they achieved the push through. Will Gripen arrive? I think yes, at some point. John Hochman, Russia has acquired Ukrainian vehicles recently. I realize it was left on purpose maybe. Does Russia have any other Ukrainian vehicles? Yes, hundreds of them. Like, insane amounts of them. Thomas Marcos, have the leadership training and morale contributed to Ukrainian armed forces' ability to achieve success on the battlefield? Yes. Richard Trench, if Ukraine cannot carry out an offensive and is under pressure to sign a Russian peace plan, how possibly can Ukraine win this war? Ukraine is not going to sign the Russian peace plan. I don't know where you took that. Ukraine is able to conduct an offensive, just not large-scale offensive, because they're not fucking insane. Ukrainians already outlined what their movement forward is. They're coming to freezing the front line and moving into diplomatic track. That is kind of already been established. They're not going to be signing the Russian peace plan. I don't know where you take that. It's a complete non-starter. Smoky Hedgehog, would it be a good neighborly to send flamingos to the new listening stations in Kaliningrad? Yes. Matt, do you want to watch Starship launch in 2 hours? No. Super, guys. Thank you so much for all of your questions. Thank you so much for watching me today. It's really nice being back online. We really did a little bit way over an hour, but I really wanted to be under. But thank you so much for everyone that watched this. I will come back to you tomorrow with a video on the latest news. We're going to talk about the extended range missiles. It's going to be fantastic. Slava Ukraini, guys. So let's celebrate Ukrainian Independence Day. And most importantly, watch the movie, This Kyiv of Mine. Here is a trailer for that movie. And I'm going to be signing off. And I will see you next time.